Hi YouTube! You're gonna have to bear with the lighting. I'm using natural lighting and I'm pale anyway, so I'm gonna look like a complete ghost in this whole video. So I do apologise. But this is just a little video, as you can see from the title, to have a chat. So grab a cup of tea or a drink, get a drink, and some snacks, and let's settle in and have a chat. So, as you can see from the title, this is going to be a chat. It's kind of like a serious subject. It's quite personal and something that's quite dear to my heart, and that is mental health. It's something that's not talked about that much in society, and it's something that should be talked about quite a lot because everybody goes through it, whether it be incredibly minor or very, very serious. So, let's talk about it, shall we? So, I'm going to try and make this not completely about me because I don't want it to come across that way, but there's going to be aspects of this that is going to be relatable to me. Probably some of you guys are hopefully out there, but let's just get into it. So, this time last year, I'm currently filming this and it is the 17th of June, and 2019. Last year, I was in a job that was something I had never been even introduced to or thought about, and it was working in a vape shop. Now, I personally don't smoke, I don't vape, I don't drink, like, ever. If I do have a drink, it's like social or Christmas or birthday. I'm not like someone who has to drink like all the time. So for me to work in, I look so pale. Wow. For someone to work in a vape shop, it was like going into something completely out of my comfort zone, but I took it on and I was like, you know what, I'm going to challenge myself, I'm going to do this, I can learn this, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And it didn't work out. But I went at it quite strong for about almost 4 months, and I really enjoyed it. It was a shop that you had to work on your own 9 times out of 10, so the shop could be run with just one person. So for someone who had worked in retail where you were working with 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 people at a time in a shift, or even more than that, going and doing it on your own, so opening up, closing up, you name it, everything, was a huge deal for me. And for someone who isn't incredibly confident, it was like, you've got to be confident now. And I think that was maybe the worst choice I did. Looking back at it now, was the worst thing I did because I wasn't ready and I forced myself into it. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the job. The people I met were usually regular people and it was all hunky-dory. I had to revise quite a lot because obviously I didn't know a lot about the aspect of the job, but you know, that comes with things. You never stop learning, even when you get to my age. But sadly, it didn't work out, and basically, I'm not going to name any names because you don't need to know those details, but me and my boss did not get along that well. We were 2 different personalities, so he was quite set in his ways and I was quite set in my ways, but completely opposite. So we were like clashing 24/7. And one day I was going to work and I turned to my mum. I went out the door, I went to go to the bus stop, and I came back in like a couple of minutes later and I was in tears. I just went from being like completely fine to just breaking down for no reason. Came back in, I just said to my mum, I can't do this anymore, I can't do this job anymore. I was in a mindset that was not okay, and she just said, like, you know, stop it, go out there, do the job, you're fine, it's just because you're not used to it. And that should have been my sign to basically be like, don't do this, stop, but I didn't. I carried on, and I ended up one day ringing up because I didn't feel well. I kept throwing up, I was really dizzy, I couldn't stand up without like almost falling over. So I just put it down to like I'd caught like a 24-hour bug or something. It wasn't. It was, my anxiety was at the point where I generally couldn't even leave my room in my house, the place where I'm very comfortable. And I ended up having like 3 days off work because of it. And my parents had actually went away to go see my grandparents, and obviously because I was supposed to be at work, I wasn't going, and they left. And usually I'm fine being left alone. They go on holiday for weeks on end and leave me here, and I'm fine with it, but I just couldn't deal with the aspect of them going. And I just broke down in the middle of like the street, and I just had a mental breakdown in front of them, people who I tried to hide this from for years. And when I mean years, I started getting depressed and having thoughts that I didn't want to have when I was about 12, 13, when I started high school. And they have never left. They're not as severe as they used to be, but they never left. And it's not nice. But I tried to hide it from them and I couldn't. It got to the point where I broke down in front of them, and my mum was like, go ring for a doctor and try and get this sorted. So I rang for a doctor because I wasn't sleeping, and I got referred to the local therapist at my doctor's, and it took me a couple of weeks from them approving me to actually get the courage up to go, because I had all these thoughts in my head that, oh, you know, from like therapy, from like films and stuff, that it was going to be this big scary thing and they were going to be like, everyone was going to end up knowing, and it wasn't at all. And I ended up going and I got put into a group lesson, and they were basically just teaching you the signs of anxiety, panic attacks, all that stuff. And I was like, I already know this. I've been living with them for the past like 10 years of my life. I want someone to help try and ease them. And I rang them up and I was just like, group lessons aren't working. Is there any way that I can be put into single lessons? I got put into group single therapy eventually after a couple of weeks, and I saw a lovely lady who talked me through, oh wow, I'm sorry about my camera, talked me through what I was going through. So basically you just sat down for like an hour, spoke about how you were feeling. I had them weekly, so how your week's been and all that sort of stuff, and you basically talk about everything, and it is quite emotional. Like, I came out of them being so emotionally drained that I just didn't want to do anything else for the rest of the day. So if you do have therapy, personal recommendation for me, it could be different for everyone else, but I would recommend having them first thing in the morning if you can, because the rest of your day you're just going to be so drained and you're just going to like want to shut off from the world. I used to come home and just put a TV series on or a film or something like that, because my mind was just like, it wasn't there. So, but I had therapy for about, so I finished the job because of, obviously I started going to therapy, which ended up being in the week, and I worked in the week, and because I was having so much time off and stuff, they were just like, we're going to let you go because, you know, we can. So I ended up having no job, and I was like, I said to my parents, they were like, well, you need to like get a job to like pay bills and stuff. I was like, I know, but at this point in time, I'm not mentally okay to do that. I didn't even want to look for work. I didn't want to leave the house. The only time I wanted to leave the house was to go to therapy. I was not in a good place. And when I started going to therapy, I learnt about this, which is PMA, because the camera's backwards. But positive mental attitude, which is something that the lovely Jacksepticeye, or Sean, he's known to a few people, started. He was going to therapy, and he started this back last January because he was in a very bad mental state and he wanted something to motivate him, but also it turned out to help a lot of other people. And I took it on board, but I didn't take it fully on board until I started therapy. And I obviously, just before I lost my job, I got my first tattoo, which is my Joe one, which is there. And when I was it was 2 weeks into therapy, it's almost up to a year. It's going to be very hard to show. I got my PMA tattoo in Jack's handwriting. And it's over, you can't see it now because it's under it. Underneath the P here is quite a prominent scar from when I was very young, when I used to self-harm. And I've been clean since I think I was 15, so it's doable. You can get out of that dark space. And it was like saying to myself, right, you've hidden the scar, you've hidden it with something that means a lot to you, someone that means a lot to you, and you're starting to go to therapy, you're starting to get your life back on track, so you can do this. And every time I had a dark moment during therapy, or even now, I look at my PMA tattoo and I'm just like, I got through it back then, I can get through whatever I'm going through right now. And I'm not saying to go out there and get a tattoo to try and help you get rid of your mental health problems. I'm not saying that. That's just what it worked for me. But I came out of therapy about, it was end of August, just before I started my new job. So I was out of work for almost 5 months, getting myself back on track, getting myself back out there. I even stopped replying to friends, and I just completely cut myself off from everything. And it wasn't nice, but I think I needed it. I think I needed that moment to happen for me to be like, I need to do something about this. So I did. And for anyone out there that is going through a dark moment or going through dark spells with anxiety or depression or panic attacks or anything that you're going through, whether it be work stress, school stress, college, whatever you're going through, honestly, it gets better. Slowly but surely, it does get better. And I'm not going to be that person that sits there and be like, I'm fine now. I have my moments. I had one the other night. I can't help it. Something can tick you and trigger you so easily, and it'll all come back. But I've learnt methods through therapy that I take into my everyday life now. So I was taught in therapy, especially with thoughts, they just come out of nowhere. You can be sat there watching a film or a TV show and all of a sudden your mind will just go, remember when that happened? And you'll go into a sad moment. She taught me a way of trying to control that. So when your thoughts do that, you automatically focus on that. So your brain focuses on it and basically stops you from thinking about anything else. So what she taught me is the kettle method, which is basically hypnosis in a way. So what she said to do is, if you're boiling a kettle, kettles make a noise. So if you're having a bad thought, boil a kettle, focus on the noise, and eventually when the kettle's finished, you'll be like, what was I thinking about again? Because your brain will have focused on that noise, and instead of going to here, your brain will just go like that, and it will just zone out of it. And I used to suffer with it a lot at night. I used to lay in bed in the dark, and my mind had just gone overdrive. A lot of people's do, but mine did a lot. And I sleep with a fan in my room. For two things, I get very hot in the night, and I need it to help me cool down, basically. And also two, it was also because I go into overdrive. So my fan makes a noise, it's like a white noise, and I basically focus on that, and that helps me fall asleep and helps me basically shut off. So I do it, like, obviously in hotels, if I go like away or something. A lot of hotels in the UK don't have aircon or anything, so I usually have the window open, so I focus on like the traffic noise or the birds or whatever it is. I try and focus on the sound to help me sleep. That might not work for you, but that personally it helped for me. Basically just shutting your mind off. It's like a hypnosis type of thing. So that worked for me. And it took me until September last year to get myself into a job, which was very, very small hours. It's like 10 hours a week, but it paid the bills, and it got me back out there into the world slowly but surely. And she signed me off from therapy because she said that I was doing better, like from when I walked into that room in May to when I walked out in like end of August. I was a completely different person, and it took me until a few months ago to get myself back out there again into a more hours and more better paid job. So it took me almost a year to get myself back to how I used to be, I guess, but better. And I wanted to make this video to basically say that it gets better. There is help. All you have to do is ask. There's people out there that will talk to you, listen to you, help you, whether that be friends, family, doctors, nurses, school nurses, whatever it is. You can go talk to someone. I was quite lucky that my parents were quite understanding when I got diagnosed. That they learnt slowly, and my mum was quite particular in asking me questions about it and actually understanding it quite well. And now, I'm not going to say I don't have panic attacks anymore. I used to suffer them extremely badly, but the last concert I went to was the Vamps. Didn't have a single ounce of anxiety or panics at all, and that's a huge step. And don't get me wrong, I get anxious over a lot of things. I get anxious at work sometimes from stupid little things, like I've put, you know, the wrong item in the wrong place, or I accidentally scanned an item twice for a customer. You know, it's accidental things like that, but you know, we're only human and we make mistakes, and you learn. But I just wanted to make this to basically say that it does get better, and you can get through this. And although I obviously am biased because I'm quite a fan of Jacksepticeye, but PMA honestly helped me a lot, and the movement he made was really good for the community. I know so many people that took it on board and got help with it and stuff, who actually have succeeded a lot in life through it. So this is a thank you from me, and hopefully the community for making this. So thank you for that. It's helped a lot, and it was a big part of my journey through. And I'm not going to say like I have a positive mental attitude all the time, because I don't. That's not the point. The point is you can look back on the times that you did have one and be like, well, I'm sad now, but like, you know, I can be happy again. So But yeah, this is probably going to be a very long video and I don't want it to be, so I'm going to cut it off now. But if anyone ever wants to talk, my DMs are always open. My social media is in the description below. You can always contact me via Twitter and I'll DM you. Or my Instagram has open DMs, so you can send me one, and if I see it I'll reply to you, and you can always talk to me and rant to me. I don't care. Go ahead, rant away. I will be there to listen, because I know a lot of people don't have that in their lives. But yeah, that's it from me. I'm not going to ask you to like and subscribe and things like that, because it's not the whole point of this video. The whole point is to raise awareness, because it's not talked about enough and you should be able to talk about it, because it's not a nice thing to go through and I would never wish this upon anybody. So I'll leave the links to the UK mental health organisations and all phone numbers and contacts in the description too. So if anybody needs to help, it's anonymous, you can contact them. Thank you.